steal our hope, to blind our eyes. He whispers fear, he wields the sword, but he cannot silence the living word. Every drop of blood becomes a seed, every broken heart cries out a creed. The gates of hell will not prevail, God's truth will stand, it will never fail. From martyrs to saints, their crowns are won, their witness shines like the rising sun. The enemy strikes, but heaven proclaims, the faithful are lifted, God knows their names. The apostles stood, though chains were near. They sang in prison, they cast out fear. And in our day, new voices rise. Charlie's faith still testifies. Every silenced word becomes a song, every trial proves where we belong. The Church of Christ cannot be destroyed, for death is swallowed up in joy. From martyrs to saints, their crowns are won, their witness shines like the rising sun. The enemy strikes, but heaven proclaims, the faithful are lifted, God knows their names. Will we bow to fear or stand unashamed? Will we hide the cross or bear his name? This is the hour, the choice we make.
Finding the right words to use for this song. I have you in mind, so it won't take so long. Love is that I find you, but you're here, and so I love you.
Now it's on. Hopefully you can hear me. This is my first time using this like this. This is my little microphone that I got. And I'm hoping that it works so that instead of you guys hearing scuffling from the microphone that's on the bottom of the phone, you can hear me. Yeah? All right. So this is my test round. Hopefully it works. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I guess we'll find out very soon. All right. Now I know that this thing doesn't work unless I'm like really, really close. So I might have to hold it. Anyway. Sometimes I don't have to hold it, but sometimes I have to hold it. Yeah, my lip is still a bit fat from yesterday's soup. It's okay. It'll shrink again. Eventually. For now, it's gonna be like this. Now, we're going to discuss femininity. Femininity when you're 40 and above. Okay. So, as you guys know, I'm one of these Catholic women that really admire like traditional femininity, like the modesty, the the gracefulness, the elegance, things like that. You know what I mean? So, when I was thinking about me turning 40 and not knowing if it's going to be like how most women, how most women go through a midlife crisis and they like try to reinvent themselves, but it's like they try to like capture their youth. Instead, I'm kind of doing the opposite. I'm looking to older women that look test complete. It works. All right, let me just fix the camera again. There we go. Now, we were discussing how I look to older women to see elegance, beauty, femininity, modesty, and I'm trying to like find women that are like my age and slightly older that do it well. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay, let me explain. I'm looking at women who are between the ages of like 40 and 50, okay? And I'm looking to see how they do their hair, like whether they have gray hair or if they don't have gray hair yet and it's like slightly not gray just yet. Um things like that. You know what I mean? Like people who are like really really like owning their femininity and their aging, their natural aging process. You know what I mean? For me personally, I was like really scared of having gray hair. I know, right? Like why? But every single time my hair was starting to turn gray, I would dye it. Now I'm going to do something I usually don't do, but I'm going to do it anyway. You guys know that I haven't been dyeing my hair. So my hair is becoming quite gray, right? Like if we look at it, the gray goes all the way to about here now. And then every so often, I get my hair trimmed to get rid of the color. So there's only a little bit of color left. It's like this bit, right? Because the rest is gray. Anyway, I've been looking into women who are 40 and between 40 and 50 who embrace their. So I'm looking to women who are between the ages of 40 and 50 who are embracing the gray or just embracing their natural aging process with elegance and femininity, Like, let's see, for instance, who can I call to mind? Hmm. There's not very many, is there? No. Let me get back to you. I can't like pull up on the top of my head anyone at the moment. But I do look for new role models all the time. I look for new women that I can look up to all the time and like just at a glance, like things like that. I would say Gwen Stefani, but she still dyes her hair. But she has aged gracefully, I might add. I don't think she's using any like anything to um enhance or preserve her. Like I think she's aging naturally. I'm pretty sure. But Gwen Stefani looks amazing and she's in her 50s. That's crazy. She looks really really good. Um let me see if I can find someone else in my mind. Hmm. Well, I would say Halle Berry too. Like she looks really good. Um I know that she's older than she's going into her 60s, but still she looks really good for her age, you know what I mean? Really really good. Um there are a few others too. I don't know their names though. But I recently watched her. She recently was on a movie that I really liked called the Thursday the Thursday afternoon murder club or something like that. It's Thursday the Thursday murder club. It was a good movie, really really good. Anyway, she was an MI6 retiree in the movie, and she was solving murders in her nursing home. It was pretty cool. I think that's gonna be me, not solving murders, but me doing things like Bible study or something with women in in a nursing home, to keep everybody like in a purpose kind of thing. Let me fix excuse me. Let me fix my hair. Okay, there we go. Much better. Anyway, if you were wondering why I wear a bun, it's actually just it's more for convenience of not getting my hair into things like when I'm doing dishes, my hair won't like fall down into the dishes cuz it like sheds a lot. Um it's just it's out of my way, you know what I mean? And I really enjoy my bun. I do hairstyles when I'm going out, so it's not like I just wear a bun unless it's like just an errands kind of day and I'm not like going out, then I'll throw it if it's errands, I'll throw it up in a bun. If it's not and I can walk around like let's say in the mall or something, I'll do a hairstyle. Anyway, y'all, we need to really think about this. So, I've been really like considering my personal body shape. Like I don't know if anybody's ever looked at their body and like tried to like see what their body look like. For me, it's an hourglass with soft pear, like because of my bum. TMI. My bum is in a heart shaped. My hips area and my bum make a nice little heart. Anyway, other than that, my upper body where my chest is quite large, and then it goes and it dips nicely, and then it comes back out like that and goes down like that. So I have an hourglass, kind of like a pear shaped body. So I've been thinking about how different clothes are made for different body types. I don't know if you guys knew this, but certain clothes really look flattering on certain body types. So today I will show you what I mean by that by giving you examples of different body shapes and different clothing style that would look good on that kind of a body. You know what I mean? For mine personally, I would look better in wrap dresses. I noticed that it really complements my body and I look really good in my wrap dress. And then other dresses would be like the other dresses that I usually wear, you know what I mean? Like they're kind of tight at the top and then they flow down towards the bottom. It's because it hides all of the goodies, you know what I mean? And so I like to wear very very modest clothing. I don't mind showing my body shape, but I'd rather complement it rather than um, focus on it and have it like the main attraction. You know what I mean? And I have a really nice body shape. I have to admit that I have admired my body. Um, its natural beauty. And it's really, really important that women find something or some way of looking at themselves and liking what they're looking at. You know what I mean? It helps it helps with self-esteem. It helps with overall like your mentality towards yourself. If you can like yourself, love yourself, not in like the worldly sense, but in the sense of what God has created, what God has wants you to steward, what God has blessed you with. This morning mucus, y'all. Hold on. Sorry about that. Morning mucus. He entrusted this body, this temple, where he dwells. If you're saved, you know that God dwells inside you, right? You're a temple. And you should love that temple. You should take care of that temple. You should steward that temple. And so looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing the blessings is not a bad thing. Noticing that this would probably look better on you than versus that would look better like on someone else. That's okay. I'm redoing my whole wardrobe because I really want things that look good with my body shape. And that's just something that has really really like as I grow in my femininity, as I grow in finding myself, I'm learning so much about like hair types, skin types, body types, all this kind of stuff. And I'm really like considering all of these things when I'm thinking about how I'm going to dress and present myself. It's just a normal evolution of how I want to be perceived, how I want to be presented, how I want to present myself. You know what I mean? I don't want people just to look at me and think, oh, she just threw on whatever she saw that day. No, I consider how it's going to make me look, if it's going to complement what I'm planning on doing with my hair, and so on and so forth. I even have this Did I tell you that I got like Elizabeth Arden perfume from the food bank? It was just sitting there on the counter, and I was like, and it was in the free stuff pile. So I was like, yeah. So I grabbed it. Now Elizabeth Arden is a really, really like well known, established perfume name, right? I remember the commercials for Elizabeth Arden. my mom was my mom personally was doing, Calvin Klein, um, something Diamond. I don't remember what it was, but it was the perfume name was Diamond. Anyway, so I have, where is it? Where is it? Hold on. Oh, there it is. So I got Elizabeth Arden. Elizabeth Arden True Love. That's what this one's called. Now, I'm not a huge perfume fan, but I spray it up in the air and then I run through the mist. And that's basically what I wear. I don't like all over the place and smother people when I walk past them. You know what I mean? But these are like things that we should be thinking about as women, even if we are getting older, we're not getting less attractive. We're shaping into a new attractiveness, if that makes any sense. As you grow, as you age, it's not less, it's different. And that's what I'm trying to learn and really, really instill in myself. I'm not an old, ugly hag, okay? I'm like near 40, and people still think that people think I'm 30, okay? Like, once upon a time, they thought I was 18. Like, when I was in my 30s, they thought I was like 18, early 20s. And I'm like, no, I'm like 33, yo, right? And that's just because I'm aging well. You know what I mean? And I don't mind when people assume my age and call me younger. That's actually a very huge compliment for me. But I also don't mind when people think that I'm my age. I want them to see me, not a number, not a demographic, not like I don't want them to see any of that. I want them to see me. Me. I want them to see shy, right? So when they look at me, they think, wow, that's shinsei, shy. Escape. That was the one my mom wore. Escape. Something. Oh, Calvin Klein Escape. I'm so dumb. Sorry, guys. It's been so long. That was my mom's favorite perfume. Calvin Klein Escape. Anyway, I think I'm going to be Elizabeth Arden True Love. That's going to be my scent. You know what I mean? Anyway, what was I saying? I was talking about something. I forgot what I was talking about. Wow. Oh, yeah, I want them to see me. That's right. I want them to see me. Now, when I can afford it, eventually, I am going to change my name. Okay? And the reason isn't what you think it is. Um, the reason isn't because I want to just have a brand new name. That's not what it's about. There are certain things that have been going on in the background that nobody knows about And I really, really, I really, really feel that changing my name will give me a bit of freedom from what I've been experiencing. So I'm changing my name so that I can be free from what happened to me. Okay? So when I get the chance, I'm changing my first name. And when I do that, I have to do it um, in a big way. I have to petition for my birth certificate to be changed. Then I have to change my care card name, then my social insurance number name, then my ID. So it's going to be a huge process. The first thing is my birth certificate, then my social insurance number, then my care card, and then my ID. That's how it will have to go. But until then, socially, I'm being known as shy. And um, I'm even beginning to like write my name. Um, all right, so I've been beginning to write my name the way that it's going to look when I change it. And yeah, so there's that. Other than that, y'all, let's discuss this femininity in when you reach 40 and how it does not mean what most people think it means. It's just changing in a different direction. As we age, we can still look beautiful. We can still feel beautiful. We can still feel attractive and confident. And that's what I really, really, really want to instill in the women who watch me that are my age, between the ages of 40 and 50 and beyond. It could work for anybody, any age it can work for. But we're going to be discovering things like hair types, skin types, body types, and what would be best for those. All right, that's what we're going to do today. Are you excited? I'm excited. All right. I will catch you very, very soon in time lapses, of course, because, yeah, I got to get some move on. Okay? And then later I'll come back with my microphone and we will do some more talking. Alrighty? Later for now.
Today we're talking about femininity after 40. A lot of this is in our heads.
When I go to the checkout, there's some stores that say, "Oh, do you get the senior discount?"
It's so relatable.
I don't feel old on the inside.
Now that I'm getting older, am I still desirable? Am I still attractive?
It's become part of our culture.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Fascinating Womanhood channel. On our channel, we talk about everything that has to do with developing femininity and building strong, long-lasting, loving relationships. I am Carrie Lynn, and I'm here with my mom, Dixie Andelin Forsyth. Hi.
Hi.
So today we're talking about femininity after 40. Why do we feel invisible? We were actually asked a question from one of our viewers, and we thought it would be a great opportunity to talk about aging. Now, we're not doing a glow up kind of style video here today. We want to talk a little bit more about the internal back and forth pull that we have as women as we age. And we're going to dive into 6 main points that we feel are very important to discuss when you're talking about your appearance and aging. Let's go ahead and read the question that was sent in to us.
When I was young, I used to turn heads and even random men and women tell me how beautiful I was. Now, so even with effort and eating healthy, staying fit, I feel invisible to most men. They no longer look or seem interested in me at all. They're still polite, but you can tell there's a difference, an indifference. Could you do a video on aging and such?
we obviously don't know how old this woman is, whether she's married, whether she's single. We don't really know, but that's not really important. The essence of her question is you can tell she just wants maybe some validation, or she's wondering, am I aging and I'm not attractive anymore? I think that's definitely something that a lot of us feel, whether we recognize it or not. Now that I'm getting older, am I still desirable? Am I still attractive? Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is we're calling it seasons of life.
We all go through different times in our life. Like we were talking before about when you're in your 20s. I mean, you could go into your teens, but that's kind of that's kind of the end of your childhood. In your 20s, you feel, at least I did, and I think probably a lot of people do, you feel young during your whole 20s. You may be going to college, you may be single, you may get married during that time, you may have a baby, you may not have a baby. There's all those seasons of life. And then when you're older and your children, let's say they're gone, you're an empty nester, that's a whole different season.
And I think I really like the metaphor of seasons because it's natural. We physically have seasons outside, and we as humans have seasons that we are in. And I think how this relates to this question, when you're out in public, think about how many seasons you're in the presence of, men and women. You might be in a store with a bunch of women in their 20s that are single. You might be in a store with a bunch of women in their 20s that are married and have babies, and they had a different morning routine than you did. You might be in the store with a man that's divorced, going through something really stressful in his job. You might be in the store and there's elderly people there. They're all in different seasons. And so when you think about, well, she said, I feel kind of invisible. Thinking about all the different seasons of humans out there is really complicated thing. And when you're younger, I don't think you really recognize a lot of that. I think you maybe do a little bit more as you get older because you say, that I remember those days. Like, how many times have you been in a store or somewhere in public or maybe you're in a restaurant and you see a woman with a baby in a carrier? Neither one of us have small babies right now, but you think back, I remember that time, or you may have joyous memories, or you may have stressful memories, or maybe a combination of both. We start to naturally compare ourselves, I think, as women when it comes to appearance.
I'm the only one around here that's really old. So when you go in a store, you don't get this, but I do. When I go to the checkout, there's some stores that say, "Oh, do you get the senior discount?" Okay, so no one would say that to you, but they do say it to me. When someone says you get the senior discount, sometimes I automatically think, oh yeah, I'm old, because I don't feel old on the inside. You never really do. And so
Right.
how does that affect your self-esteem?
Right. I'm glad you bring up the point of the senior discount because I think that, like, if I were to hear that for the very first time in my life, I think that would be really hard for me. Whereas some people may think it's great. And this is the thing, though, we're all so different. We all have our different insecurities. And as we're aging, we go through these seasons. And I think it's important to not only recognize them, but embrace them. I think a lot of us fight them. They fight the season that you're in instead of embrace it and do the best that you can with what you're in and not compare. And it's so hard. I compare myself all the time to other women. I mean, I'll go out to dinner and I have kids and I'll see women there that look, I just think so much better than me. And I'll think to myself, oh man, I got to step it up. And not all women do that. And I think there's a healthy part of that. And then there's an unhealthy part of that. We're hard on ourselves, but then you have to remember, wait, does she have a young kid like I do? Are her kids older? Are they only in middle school? You have to start thinking about the seasons that people are in, and it'll help you have a more, I guess, realistic way of looking at things.
Well, do you feel as you get older, do you feel like people don't notice you as much?
I think we're going to get into this a little bit more with more of these points. I think that a lot of this is in our heads. That sounds negative, and it's not negative. It's actually something that I think we just need to talk about more. So that brings us into the next one, number 2. How has your approach to appearance changed over time?
You take your appearance more for granted when you're younger and you feel like you're starting to work on it. Like you feel like I need to do more skincare. Your hair may change. You may get gray hair. You may not have gray hair. Your approach to that changes as you look in the mirror and you think, oh my gosh, when I was 21, I didn't look in the mirror and think I didn't think I looked terrible. I just thought my hair was messy.
Well, I think in addition to that, think about it though, when you're younger, you of course maybe don't have as much that you have to do. Perhaps maybe you don't have to, but you experiment. I mean, at least most women I know, you have to find your identity. And with that comes a lot of waves of really attractive looks. Like maybe when you were younger, you got into dyeing your hair, you got into curling it or straightening it or conditioning it differently, shining products. Like you experimented with your look, you experimented with makeup, you learned how much you liked, how much you don't like. And I think that's great to do as a young woman because you have to figure out what works for you. But then as we get older, I think we subconsciously, a lot of us, we tend to stop experimenting and we stick with what always worked, right? Like, oh, I've always used this makeup, I've used it all my life and I'm not changing. Well, maybe it's time to change because your skin's changing or your life is just changing and that no longer works for you. Then maybe that hairstyle doesn't work on you anymore and you need to think about it differently. And I think this point about your approach to appearance is more about, it's not necessarily putting a mirror in front of your face, but it's more about how do you feel? Because this lady obviously does not feel great. She doesn't feel attractive. Well, this is something that you can consider. Experimenting the way you used to is going to probably more than likely make you feel more attractive.
Another issue that because I am older, it's my perspective, is I've noticed that as you get older, magazines and social media, they kind of tell older women, you can't wear that makeup anymore. It's too young for you.
Yeah.
So, or you shouldn't wear that hairstyle. You have to wear older people's hairstyles.
Right.
So you can no longer like your eye makeup, for example, Cherry. Women my age would be told that eye makeup, it has to be simpler. You can't do as much on your eyes. You have to have the no makeup look, but yet still have makeup on as you get older because it doesn't suit you. It just looks ridiculous if you're older. And hairstyles, you can't have long hair when you're
Yeah,
older.
that's a big one. I hear that a lot.
It's a big one, and yet I'm kind of decided to rebel against it because I like it long. I've had it shorter. I like it long. So who decided that? But we often go with that because we think, oh, they must be right because it's printed in a magazine.
They're
And so many
expert.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't experiment with makeup because you're going to look ridiculous because you're older.
Well, and there's some truth to some of those things. Like I think it's great to look up things and research things, but you have to try them and you have to, and sometimes it's hard because some of us don't know much about that topic and we need friends or we need help. We look for those sources, those magazines, those videos, those tutorials. We look for them to help us. But I think what you're trying to say and what I love about having someone in your season of life, I love having you on here because you can give that perspective on the other side of this kind of battle. I guess you have a lot of perspective, and I think what your approach is that I do what I feel I look good in, and I don't let people dictate what I think makes me feel attractive. I do what I want to do, and I think that that's your approach, and it works for you, and I think that's great.
There's billions of people in the world. We are not all the same. We don't all look the same. Obviously, we don't all look bad, and like I don't look good in really short hair. Some people look great in it. But it doesn't mean just because I don't look good in it, no older women should have short hair. So you're an individual person, and what makes you feel good is going to make you feel more confident.
Well, it just depends on your skin. It's not fair to say all those things. It's just you have different, some people don't need that much makeup and that's just their genetics. They just don't need it. And so they say, well, I don't believe in makeup but then there's other people that look a lot better with a little bit of makeup, but then they kind of refuse because they say, I'm the no makeup person. That's me. That's who I am. Well, as you get older, are you willing to kind of experiment with some things to make yourself feel attractive or feel more attractive and look more attractive? Or do you kind of want to stay in that same lane that you've been in all your life? It just depends on what your goals are.
And when you feel, we're going back to, like you originally said, it's all in your head. When you feel like you look good, you look in the mirror and you think, yeah, this really works. You're going to be more confident. You're going to have an air of more confidence. And when you go out, people will notice your confidence and you may think it's your looks, but it actually may be more than anything, your confidence. And you think, yeah, this hairstyle really suits me. In fact, it may not be as much that as it is that you feel pretty.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's hard to swallow, but it's so true. Have you ever known anybody that has the same hairstyle for like 40 years and they won't change? Yeah. Some people that works good for them because they choose a classic style. But I'm talking about someone that chose like a trendy 70s hairstyle or 80s and they just never change it. They just wear the same thing. That's fine. That's great. If that makes you feel happy, if that makes you feel attractive, great. But the thing that you have to remember is that you are changing.
Somebody that comes to mind when you said they have the same hairstyle, it works on her. So I'm going to bring her up as Barbara Streisand. Her hairstyle doesn't seem to have ever changed. It's
Yeah.
always parted down the middle, about down to here. And I think it just works for her. But like you said, it's classic.
It's classic. If you choose something that's trendy and you've had it for 30 years, 20 years, whatever it is, you might want to take a look at that if your goals are to be more noticed. If there's ladies watching this and they're like, I don't want to be noticed, I like being invisible, then that's great. You do that. But if you're somebody like this lady that wrote into us and says, I want to feel more attractive, I want to be validated, I want to be noticed, there's no shame in that. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's important to not do too much comparing of yourself to your old self or your young self. I say your old self, but it's really your young self. Like if you're sitting there looking at pictures of yourself when you're in your 20s and you're striving for that, I think there's a healthy part of that and there's an unhealthy part of that, because you're not gonna look 20 ever again, unless of course you have a brilliant plastic surgeon and a chef, but you're probably more than likely, the majority of us are not going to. So let go of your younger self in a sense and embrace the season that you're in, what we talked about earlier. I think we do a lot of comparing to our old self and we say,
Yeah,
oh,
we do.
I don't have as slim of this and the gravity is doing this. It's okay. You can still look attractive and feel attractive by embracing it. The third one is one of my favorite ones: self-sabotage through hormonal changes.
We have hormonal changes, and then we can get really hard on ourselves. Hormonal changes, it can be menopause. It
Perimenopause
can be,
as well as
yeah,
menopause.
yeah. And also, it can be not that, it can be your time of the month where people get kind of more emotional. You may break out and you can self-sabotage because you have a breakout situation and then you feel very unattractive. And you can self-sabotage with that and look at yourself in the mirror and you think, I look terrible.
So we had a comment sent into us. This is another reason why we wanted to do this video about this self-sabotage. And I think it's explained really well. So I'm going to read this comment from someone that was sent to us. Since I'm in my 50s, I think we sabotage ourselves into thinking people don't find us attractive. I was doing this in my 30s and 40s, thinking I was looking old and assuming guys wouldn't want me when they could have much younger girls. But then I remember seeing an Oscars night when Helen Mirren was up for Best Actress and her gown looked so amazing on her. She was one of the oldest nominees there. And the next day in magazines, there were lots of men raving about how sexy she was. Some men said that she was the sexiest woman there and that they'd love to sleep with her. It threw me because I saw that a lot of men don't consider age much at all. Since then, I've kept my eyes open and see so many couples with an older woman. And then she goes on to say, look at President Macron of France and look at who he's married to.
Yeah, there's an actor that might be being considered for the next James Bond. His wife is older. She's in her 50s.
He's 34 and she's 57. It's just an example of women looking. And what she's talking about, I think, in this comment is it's so relatable. She's basically saying, I realized I was approaching this certain age and I was immediately said to myself, I'm not desirable anymore. Men want younger women. And it's just, again, it goes back to what we said earlier. It's all in your head. But then you take this example of Helen Mirren and how not only is she embracing, she's doing all the things we're talking about in this video. She still is. I think she's in her 70s now. And she is always embracing where she's at in her life from an appearance perspective. It probably goes deeper inside because you can see it on the outside. She changes her hair, she changes her makeup, she's always adjusting. And I think that's part of her attractiveness, is that she's adjusting and she's accepting the different seasons that she's in.
Well, and you can see by this question that you just read that this woman said, in my 30s, I thought I was too old because she wasn't in her 20s.
Right.
When now she looks back and thinks, are you kidding me? I wasn't at all. But it's how you perceive yourself. Like men want younger women. That isn't always true.
And a lot of this comes from, don't be too hard on yourself and be like, oh gosh, I'm so hard on myself. Well, that's where the hormones come in. When you get older, and this video is femininity after 40, past 40, it's pretty much, everybody's different, but it's pretty much a hormonal kind of roller coaster that you're going to go through. Some women experience it later, some women experience it earlier, but it's pretty safe to say that you're going to go through a lot of changes, and that's going to impact how you view your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and ultimately how attractive you feel.
Exactly. Yeah.
The fourth one is aging gracefully versus letting go. We don't want to send this message here with this topic that you have to fight aging and it is all about this fight. You need to embrace it. But there's a difference between embracing it and just letting yourself go.
It's actually all over. I see it all over. Women that look like they gave up. They don't experiment or show any interest in clothing. They wear the same thing or same kinds of things. It's almost like a uniform with
Yeah.
the same kind of shoes, the same hairdo, no makeup. It's like they gave up. And
When you let yourself go, you let go of self-care too. More than likely.
yeah,
You're more than likely not taking care of yourself. And we're not saying that you need to look like a beauty queen. We're not saying that you can't go gray if you want to. If you want to go gray, do it, but take care of your hair, style it, condition it. Is it shiny and gray versus dull and ratted? Like, this is something that you want, this attractiveness, and you want to feel feminine, you want to feel attractive. It's just little things sometimes that will help you feel better. And playing to your strengths with your appearance and not worrying so much about those challenges, just downplaying them, embracing some of those things.
I think it was Julia Roberts and maybe Jennifer Garner said they were never going to get. They were going to just age
Yeah,
gracefully. They weren't okay, but they haven't quit taking care of themselves.
exactly. Yeah, that's a really good
And
example. Same thing with Pamela Anderson. She said the same thing. She's
yeah,
like, oh,
she
she
did.
did get work done when she was younger, but she's like, I'm not going to do that as I get older. I'm done with all of that. She's not wearing makeup anymore, which I kind of have mixed feelings about.
She was, yeah, she didn't have to wear a ton of makeup,
Right,
but not
right.
going from lots of makeup to none is I would not do that. But she's a free agent.
I like the example of Jamie Lee Curtis. She is letting her hair be white, gray, white. But she takes care of it. It looks clean and pretty. And she still wears makeup, but she doesn't wear gobs of makeup. She dresses for
Right.
her age and she looks attractive. And you can tell that she feels attractive. I think Halle Berry also, she's 50 something at the time we're recording this. She's in her late 50s. She adjusts how she looks as she gets older. She changes her hair, she changes her makeup, but she doesn't go over the top. And I don't think she's had tremendous amount of surgeries. If she has, she's really good at hiding it because you can't tell.
Well, she's had really good surgery if she's had it.
Yeah, I don't
So
know. I don't think she has. I don't know. The next one is men who are hesitant, understanding the cultural shift. And in Fascinating Womanhood, we will always say part of our principles that we always are sharing is part of understanding what's going on is starting to understand ourselves. And in this situation, understanding men.
this speaks directly to feeling invisible. Before this started, Sherry and I were talking personally, and she was saying how men used to tip their hats or whistle. It's a form of giving someone attention. We don't do any of those things anymore. And we now have the Me Too movement, which has affected men. Men in our family have said, I don't dare do hardly anything because some women will be offended if I even open a door for them.
We've had decades and decades past that have changed our society and how our culture looks at this topic of like women that are attractive being validated in public, right? That's the main theme we've been talking about over and over. When you were young, the way men looked at, oh, that woman is attractive, that has changed dramatically to today in our current society. When I was younger, it was different than when you were younger. And I know for me, you can share what with you, but I know for me, when I was younger and I was maybe like in high school, it was very common for boys to whistle when you walk by. I don't think it's acceptable anymore. And it was nothing to me. In fact, we used to giggle, me and my friends giggle when we get the little whistle. Ooh, it made you feel validated. Whereas now women take that as offensive. So when you think about all of the waves that have happened culturally, then you brought up Me Too. That was a big one. I know even for my son and my husband have spoken to me about they feel that they have to walk on eggshells with women in general, let alone if they want to compliment them. We live in this culture where men are probably getting more and more quiet when it comes to that topic.
I had a doctor once, and he said to me he really liked my shoes. And I was surprised because I didn't think he would dare to say that because that could be considered flirty. He did. He was confident enough. He just said, I really like those shoes. I've had other doctors in the family say, I don't dare say hardly anything because of the implications that women may take it. I have to be so careful. And even saying, you have nice hair or something like they might be considered flirty or something inappropriate. And they have to be so careful. The person who feels invisible may feel invisible when in fact they may be noticed. And you might have to look a little deeper for, being noticed. One thing I've noticed with children don't have any of those rules. And I know in grocery stores, sometimes I've seen little girls stare at me because I always dress feminine, especially if I'm in a dress. Little girls would just stare. They won't say anything, but they'll stare. But they're little. And if you don't really look, you're not going to notice. Go
When you
ahead.
think about the past and how much things have changed, think about how many women used to be homemakers and it was acceptable.
Yeah.
Like that was just the norm. And men were pursuers, they were providers, and it was just normal. It was just what society was like. Men used to kind of look at finding an attractive mate or a date as kind of a hunt. And so there's bad parts to this, right? There's men out there that are bad and there's men out there that behave horribly. And I'm grateful for some of these movements, such as Me Too, getting some of those men, pronouncing that it's not acceptable. That's not what we're talking about. We're not saying that these things are all negative. But then there's other parts of it that have put good men in a kind of a difficult position. When you say they used to have this just natural, traditional kind of role, and so did us women. And now everything's kind of blurred, and it makes it difficult. Back to the question that we started this video on, the woman saying, well, people used to comment. I used to get comments all the time on how beautiful I am, and I don't anymore.
Years ago, I'm thinking of my Mother's Day. My mother wore gloves and kitten heels to the grocery store. You
Right.
did not go to the grocery store
Mhm.
looking sloppy. You just didn't. And people do. But nowadays, it's acceptable, and women do it all the time, to wear athletic clothes all day long. There's so many people that look the same. They may take care of themselves, but they're all wearing similar things. And even back when I was younger, you wore clothes unique to yourself. And so not getting noticed could be that you just blend in with, even though you take care of yourself, you just blend in with all the other people who wear jeans and t-shirts. And
Mhm.
and even if it's a nice t-shirt, there may not be your own look that you've got, and that women used to when they wore dresses all the time.
But women aren't. This goes to the tradition. I think that's where this is kind of connecting to what that we were talking about with traditional roles. You're saying, well, we don't have those traditional roles really as much anymore, and so therefore women are juggling a lot more, and they're perhaps working. They're working full time. They're working part time. They may have kids. They may not, but they're getting into this go 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 mode. We've made everything about go fast, and we can't slow down. We don't therefore protect that time to look our best or wear the things that make us feel attractive. And I think when we're younger, we may not be juggling that much. I mean, maybe we are, but we don't have to spend, like I did this morning, 20 minutes on skincare routine. Because I didn't do that when I was in my 20s. And then you combine that with feeling kind of invisible because the men are afraid to talk to you.
Well, and it's been going on long enough that there are men, young men, who don't know anything else from our culture. They don't remember a time when men were allowed to do it. So it's become part of our culture, and which would
Right.
have to change for that to change.
Well, my son, who is in middle school, has told me, because I'm trying to raise him the way that I think, you should be a gentleman. I'm trying to raise him to be chivalrous. And he says to
Yeah.
me, well, I try to open doors for girls and they say, no, thanks. They don't want me to open the door for them. And that to me says, you're ladies, you are contributing to this this boy is going to grow up to be a man, and he's not going to open doors for you. He's not going to compliment you, or he's going to be afraid to be hesitant to do those things because he's been bitten in the past. And if you are looking to feel more attractive, like this lady wrote in, I want to be complimented again, or I want to be noticed, you might be in a public space with a bunch of men that were bit in the past by doing that. And they may not have been as afraid to do that when they were younger. They may be experimented. They had their mom saying, do this, do this. This is what women like to hear. This is what women appreciate. And they didn't get the result they wanted, so they gave up.
By then, it's really hard for them to unlearn it. So what you'd have to do is feel confident and attractive yourself.
Right.
And then if you really want to get the attention of other people, you may have to just notice how they look rather than expect them to say anything. You may have to learn to be able to interpret subtleties.
That's what I do. I do that. I interpret the nonverbal body language of those around me because I don't get a lot of compliments and I like them. I feel like they're validating. I appreciate them. So what I tend to do is I watch their body language. And if a man offers to lift something for me, or just I don't have grocery baggers where I live, but if a man is like at Home Depot, I'll go there and he'll offer to help me with something to my car. I'll take that as a wow, what a chivalrous thing for him to do. And he noticed me. And it's not like it's not like a dating flirty thing. It's just more of like a validation thing.
Polite.
It's what you're looking for.
When actually, when someone's really polite to you, it may be a compliment. He may not be
Right.
as polite to the kind of the witch that's behind that's really grouchy and is really caustic.
The last one is the influence of your environment. The cultural and social norms of your surroundings can significantly impact how you perceive your appearance and overall sense of femininity.
Here where I live in Missouri, people are very friendly, and they might say a total stranger might say something really nice to you. In some areas, people aren't as verbal to strangers, and it doesn't mean that they're not friendly. They're just not comfortable being friendly with strangers. They're not unfriendly, but they just sort of go about their business. And I know in parts of the world, it's not even socially acceptable to talk to people you don't know much. What is the culture of even the city that you live in, not just the country? The other aspect of that is you may live in an environment and a community that's a lot more expensive, where people spend a lot of money on clothes. There may be a certain, shall we say, snobbishness, political leanings, and that has its own culture with it.
Well, it may be expected where you live a standard to prevent aging on fast forward mode. Like you may live in an area where the majority of the women have had surgeries and they've had Botox and they have all these things, and you maybe stand out, maybe in a good way, but maybe not in a good way, because you don't match that same criteria, and therefore you don't stand out, and then you're not feeling as attractive and you're not feeling as noticed. And those are all really, again, they're kind of in your head, but they're also, it gets into that comparison thing again, where you're comparing yourself to everyone around you who has different financial situations, different genetics. That's going to really affect you if you don't think about it and recognize it.
I saw a woman at the airport, and you couldn't help but notice her. She had the most amazing outfit on. She had a white coat with a big fur collar, and she had these shoes that were real blingy, and it looked very expensive. She was wearing what looked like expensive jewelry, and she obviously stood out.
But see, in an airport, she stood out because you have that mix of people. But where she lives, who knows where that is? That just
That's
may
true.
be normal. Like, a lot of the people where I live wear lots of black. It's very expensive where I live. They wear designer things. All the women that are older, like a lot of them are getting Botox. They're getting facelifts. They're getting lip injections. They're getting a lot of that's happening where I live. So to be noticed, it's just a different challenge here. But if you're somebody wanting compliments and you are striving for all of this, but then you're still not getting them, now this goes into not your outward appearance, but how you act in public. This is another part of this conversation that we're having, is maybe you are doing all these things and you look amazing and you look as close to a beauty queen that you can possibly look, but then you're sending off these vibes to other people in public that you're not approachable.
And that's a very good point. Are you approachable? And we're not saying that this woman who wrote this in is or isn't, because we have no idea. But these are all things to consider. And even like, see, I noticed that woman in the airport. I didn't say anything. I didn't go up to her.
I think this is why with Fascinating Womanhood, we're always saying, we've done other videos about this, we're always saying to compliment people. I mean, ask yourself this: when was the last time I gave some stranger a compliment? I'm sure the majority of us are going to say, I don't remember. Or maybe you've done it once recently, and that's great. But if you are somebody that really appreciates compliments and loves that validation, but then you yourself are thinking, well, I don't really do that either. Well, it's the same reason why other people aren't doing it for you. And so that's a big message about this whole entire topic, is to compliment people when you see it, because a lot of us hold back, and we can't really do a whole lot about the men other than raising a few of them. And some of us have the ability to do that, but we can't really do a whole lot, but we can do things for ourselves.
I love this last thing that you said, is if you want compliments, do you give them? Do you do to other people what you wish, do you admire them, that you wish that they would do to you? Because that's something we are all free to do any day we want.
Well, and why don't we? Why don't we? Sometimes it is a matter of approachability. I think sometimes people give off this energy, go away from me, get away from me. I don't want to be noticed. And that's fine. If you don't want to be noticed, that's makes sense to me. But I think the majority of us appreciate a genuine compliment, not a fake one, a genuine one. But why don't we give them?
Shy, underconfident, I don't know. Don't think of it.
We don't think of it, or we're so used, we're in the habit of not. I think that's for me anyway. I do give compliments, but I have to work on it. I have to remind myself because I went many years, especially having young babies, being tired, having sick babies. I've gone many years of getting into the habit of like, I'm just zoned out. I'm surviving right now. I don't have time to even think about these things.
Let's turn this around. Would you or me, would I dare give a compliment to a man, the opposite sex? Or would I be worried it'd be considered a flirt? So would a man be worried about giving a compliment to me? Because I consider it a flirt. So,
Right.
If I saw a man in a store and I'd say, I love that tie, would that be appropriate? Is it appropriate? And so if you're worried about it, you just don't say anything.
I totally get it. And everything is just so unique and you have to kind of feel those things out. And some of us are better at that than others. But I think majority of the time it is appropriate depending on what you say.
Just it's got to be specific and sincere.
Well, that's all we have for you today. Go ahead and comment down below any comments you have about this topic. Has this happened to you? Can you relate? What was the most relatable points? We would love to hear from you. And if you would like us to do a video that's a little bit more specific about beauty tips, we've done a couple of videos like that, but we haven't done one for women over 40 that are kind of looking at this aging topic. So we certainly could, if you'd like us to, just drop that comment down below. And if you haven't read any of our books, all of the links to purchase our books will be down below. We have an entire library of books that you can choose from to learn about femininity and developing really strong, long-lasting, loving relationships. Be sure to check those out. We're on tons of different social media. Connect with us in the comment box. We have all those links provided for you as well. If you have an idea for another future video that isn't related to this topic, feel free to also drop those down below as well. We will see you next time.
ultimate sign. Love poured out, eternal divine. He showed us the way, the cross to embrace, to live as his own, unashamed by his grace. In a culture of death, we choose to speak life with faith unshaken. With courage we rise. The enemy trembles when truth resounds. For what God has anointed, he has crowned. God endowed, God crowned. We will not be shaken, we will stand our ground. Heaven's witness, earth resounds. God endowed, God crowned. I see it in Erica, I saw it in him. A faith unbroken, light that won't dim. Living examples of truth proclaimed. The legacy burns in Jesus' name. This is the moment, hell's gates shake like Christ's own blood for our souls' sake. Death defeated, our path is clear. God's kingdom advances, his reign is near. God endowed, God crowned. We will not be shaken, we will stand our ground. Heaven's witness, earth resounds. God endowed, God crowned. God endowed, God crowned. We will not be shaken, we will stand our ground. Heaven's witness, earth resounds. God endowed, God crowned. Husbands and wives in covenant stand. Children of promise held in his hand. Turning points fire, a torch reborn. In Christ's own power, new saints are born. God endowed, God crowned. Every faithful life is heaven bound. His glory shines, his truth resounds. God endowed, God crowned. God endowed, God crowned. We will not be shaken, we will stand our ground. Heaven's witness, earth resounds. God endowed, God crowned. God endowed, God crowned. God endowed, God crowned. They told me I was outdated, just a shadow of the past. Said long skirts and shawls don't shine, they'll never last. But I don't dress for fashion shows or this world's fleeting.